In consideration of the rights and benefits granted to the company here, the company will pay KL2, which is Kawhi, $28 million in cash. During the term of this agreement, the company will pay KL2 $7 million each year. That is Kawhi Leonard's autograph, right next to Andre Cherney, the CEO's autograph. Kawhi Leonard has just been found guilty in a $28 million fraud scheme, a scandal that could erase his entire legacy. The quiet superstar collapsed under the weight of the verdict, leaving fans stunned and the NBA shaken. But the real question remains, who else knew about the deal, and could more names fall next? The scandal breaks, denials, investigations, and a league in shock. The bombshell that would forever change how we view Kawhi Leonard came not from the basketball court, but from the sterile pages of a bankruptcy filing. When Aspiration, the environmental startup that promised to plant trees and save the planet, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in March 2025, eagle-eyed investigators discovered something that would send shockwaves through the NBA. Buried in the list of creditors was a seemingly innocuous entry. KL2 Aspire LLC owed $7 million by the failed company. The manager listed? None other than Kawhi Leonard himself. What David is looking at with his glasses on is a bankruptcy filing, and there's a list of creditors, the entities to which Aspiration, in all their alleged fraudulence, still owes the most money. And what I notice is exactly what David is noticing right now. On that list of creditors, up near the top above the Boston Red Sox, is an LLC, a tiny little company that Aspiration owes $7 million. And that LLC's name, David, is what? KL2 Aspire LLC. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. What investigative journalist Pablo Torre uncovered next would rock the foundation of professional sports. Through extensive interviews with 7 former Aspiration employees and the acquisition of signed contract documents, Torre revealed that Leonard had signed a staggering $28 million endorsement deal with the company. The most damning detail? Leonard apparently performed virtually no work for this astronomical sum. The smoking gun evidence came directly from inside Aspiration's finance department, where employees were explicitly told this wasn't just any endorsement deal. It was salary cap circumvention disguised as legitimate business. The casual way this fraud was discussed internally, complete with LOL reactions, revealed the brazen nature of the scheme that would ultimately bring down both the company and potentially Leonard's career. Did you ever see proof of Kawhi Leonard marketing or endorsing Aspiration in any way? Never. Not once. The single largest payment to an individual for marketing that Aspiration ever made has completely evaded all press. It's honestly incredible, and it was a very strong pain point for our marketing team. Their job was to get Aspiration's name out there, and they couldn't understand why the largest part of their budget, the one they'd blown, wasn't delivering. The connection to Clippers owner Steve Ballmer made the scandal even more explosive. Ballmer had invested $50 million of his personal fortune into Aspiration just weeks before Leonard's contract extension with the Clippers. The timing was suspicious enough to raise immediate red flags about potential salary cap circumvention, a violation that could result in severe penalties, including massive fines, lost draft picks, and even contract voiding. The NBA's response was swift and decisive. The league immediately hired the prestigious law firm Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen & Katz, the same firm that handled the Donald Sterling investigation, to conduct a thorough probe into the allegations. This wasn't just any investigation. This was the type of high-powered legal scrutiny typically reserved for the most serious violations of league rules. Christine, the NBA told me that their investigation is underway and will most certainly include interviews with key subjects, both from the Clippers side and Kawhi Leonard himself. The company and the league's investigation at the heart of it is going to be searching for concrete proof, a potential paper trail to show whether there was cap circumvention. The stakes couldn't be higher. Historical precedent from the Minnesota Timberwolves' Joe Smith scandal in 2000 showed that proven salary cap circumvention could result in the loss of 5 first-round draft picks, millions in fines, and suspensions for team executives. For a franchise like the Clippers, which had mortgaged its future to build around Leonard and Paul George, such penalties could be catastrophic. Steve Ballmer's response to the allegations was a masterclass in damage control, mixed with genuine bewilderment. In an exclusive interview with ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, The Clippers' owner vehemently denied any wrongdoing, while admitting he felt conned by Aspiration's leadership. And frankly, any speculation would be crazy. These were guys who committed fraud. How would I be able? They conned me. Ballmer's defense hinged on several key points that painted him as a victim rather than a perpetrator. He emphasized that his investment in Aspiration was made independently of any knowledge of Leonard's deal, that he had no control over the company despite his $50 million investment, and that the Clippers had actually introduced Leonard to Aspiration only after both deals were already completed. The billionaire owner's frustration was palpable as he described feeling betrayed by a company he had trusted with his environmental initiatives and charitable giving. The most damning revelation about Leonard's contract came from its structure itself. Unlike typical endorsement deals that require actual work, Leonard's agreement was specifically designed to allow him to do nothing while still collecting millions. The contract included explicit clauses that allowed him to decline any requested actions if they weren't consistent with his beliefs, a term deliberately left undefined, creating a loophole large enough to drive a truck through. He didn't have to do anything. There was a clause for an out in every single KPI. So they weren't actually key performance indicators, KPIs. They were, if you feel this doesn't align with you, or it's too big of an ask, or maybe you don't want to post on social media, or you don't want to wear our gear, just let us know. Or don't even let us know. You just don't have to do it. The Clippers organization issued their own forceful denial, stating unequivocally that neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap or engaged in any misconduct related to Aspiration. Any contrary assertion is provably false. But in the court of public opinion, these denials were met with skepticism and intense scrutiny. The basketball world's reaction was swift and divided. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith delivered perhaps the most scathing commentary, calling Leonard the worst superstar he'd ever seen in sports, not for his basketball ability, but for his perceived lack of effort in promoting his team and the league. Having said that, let me tell you what really stands out with me and why I said, believe it or not, some of this is believable. Because there's a sentence in here where it says, the deal was with Kawhi Leonard's company, KL2 Aspire LLC, and included clauses allowing Leonard to do nothing yet still collect payment. That's the Kawhi Leonard I know, doing nothing and getting paid for it. The reaction from other NBA players was notably muted, with only Indiana Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton making light of the situation with a joking comment about wanting a similar no-show job. The silence from Leonard's peers spoke volumes about the seriousness of the allegations and the potential ramifications for the league as a whole. The scandal deepened when details about Leonard's infamous inner circle emerged. Central to the story was his uncle, Dennis Robertson, known simply as Uncle Dennis. For years, rumors had swirled about Uncle Dennis's role in Leonard's free agency decisions, his demands on teams, and his unorthodox methods of negotiation. Now, his name was once again at the center of a storm that threatened to engulf Leonard's career. The infamous Uncle Dennis, Kawhi Leonard's uncle and manager. Uncle Dennis. Uncle Dennis. Uncle Dennis was calling and getting offers from teams. NBA legend Tracy McGrady was among those who expressed disbelief at Leonard's silence amid the growing scandal. If this is not true, if I'm Kawhi Leonard, I'm coming out and saying something. Because if you're telling me I signed a $28 million contract and I haven't posted, I haven't been seen doing commercials, I haven't been seen doing absolutely nothing, what did I sign a $28 million contract for? Come on, bro. That's common sense. Even late-night host Jimmy Kimmel weighed in, highlighting the surreal nature of the deal in his trademark comedic style. He signed a $28 million endorsement contract and did nothing. Nobody has proof of anything that he did. 0 things. No likes, no retweets, no posts, no tree plantings. Kawhi Leonard got $28 million for doing absolutely nothing. No ads, no appearances, nothing. The fallout extended beyond the court and into the business world, where Aspiration's collapse revealed a trail of broken promises and unpaid debts. The company, which had once positioned itself as a revolutionary force in ethical banking and environmental sustainability, was now exposed as a hollow shell that had burned through hundreds of millions in investments without delivering on its grandiose pledges. At the heart of the scandal was a simple but devastating truth. Kawhi Leonard had received millions of dollars in exchange for virtually no work, while ordinary employees and customers were left holding the bag. The optics were disastrous for a player already known for his quiet demeanor and reluctance to engage with fans or the media. The NBA faced an existential dilemma. How could the league maintain credibility in enforcing salary cap rules while one of its biggest stars was implicated in such a blatant scheme? Would Leonard's contract with the Clippers be voided? Would the franchise face crippling penalties? And perhaps most importantly, what precedent would this set for future endorsement deals that might be used to skirt financial regulations? As the investigation unfolded, comparisons to previous scandals loomed large. The Joe Smith case in Minnesota, the Ime Udoka saga in Boston, even the Donald Sterling scandal that had reshaped the Clippers' ownership a decade earlier. Each had forced the league to confront uncomfortable truths about power, money, and accountability. For Leonard, the personal stakes could not have been higher. His reputation as a stoic, no-nonsense competitor was already fragile after years of injuries, load management controversies, and questions about his commitment to the game. Now, with allegations of fraud hanging over him, the very foundation of his legacy was at risk. The league has said the investigation is ongoing, and sources close to the situation tell me this could take months. They're going to comb through emails, contracts, financial statements, anything that could establish a link between the Clippers, Steve Ballmer, and Kawhi Leonard's deal with aspiration. The silence from Leonard's camp was deafening. Neither he nor his representatives had issued a formal statement, leaving fans and pundits alike to speculate about his culpability. In the absence of answers, the narrative hardened. Leonard had taken millions for doing nothing, and now he might pay the ultimate price. The story became a Rorschach test for the basketball world. To some, Leonard was a victim, roped into a fraudulent company's shady practices while fully understanding the implications. To others, he was complicit, knowingly exploiting a loophole to secure millions in off-the-books compensation. The truth, as always, would lie somewhere in the documents, the emails, the contracts buried in Aspiration's bankruptcy filings. But one thing was certain. The Kawhi Leonard scandal had already altered the landscape of professional basketball, exposing vulnerabilities in the system and forcing the league to reckon with uncomfortable questions about money, power, and integrity. And as the investigation deepens, one question echoes louder than all the rest. Is this the end of Kawhi Leonard's career as we know it?